I got stuff for you.
Holy moly. I need to get some snakes and release them around my house.
But they love eating people. They love eating kids.
These guys are the scientists of the supernatural, lecturers leaving lessons for inquiring laymen. They are applying the scientific method to a world that baffles science. They are the cryptids of the corn.
Every day that you open your mouth,
I know, right?
I'm more convinced that you're abducted by aliens.
No.
And it just stood up. I mean, it just like kept going and going. And she goes, what the?
These are idiots.
I was laughing reading this because I already knew how you would feel.
Idiot. What part of the story fits your balloon?
Well,
This isn't a UFO. But who else has big black wings and red eyes?
Batman.
Well, Mothman.
Oh yeah, Mothman.
Well, everyone, I think we know exactly what it is. So say it all with me. It was the sandhill crane.
Would you try it?
No.
You wouldn't eat it?
No.
Why?
Because they're probably toxic. There'd be a lot of poop in my pants. I've seen a 6-foot alligator go swinging through the air and slam into a tree.
We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas
and a Happy New Year. Welcome to Cryptids of the Corn podcast. I am the great and powerful Mystery.
And I'm J Clone 67.
Boop, boop, boop. Is that a very Christmassy number?
Yeah, 67 is. It's in the Mother Goose Christmas. I don't know.
Just taking up a lot of time there.
I thought I had something funny to maybe.
No, so this is one you can listen with your kids. Like always, I guess. Everything we do besides with guests. No, so we're pretty much we're Santa Claus. Like we're very Santa Claus positive here on Cryptids of the Corn podcast.
Pro Santa?
We're pro Santa. Santa does exist. And I put together an episode of actual Santa Claus sightings.
Oh, all right.
And a lot of these were turned in. Some of these were turned into. So I have Stephen Wagner's stuff, which he's a paranormal like writer, like article writer. He's passed away now or retired. I couldn't really find it either way.
Oh, I would say both of those are very different.
Because I found his quote unquote retirement article. Somebody wrote about him.
Oh.
And it seemed, I don't know.
Like it was post-mortem?
I couldn't tell.
Gotcha.
The guy that wrote the article was very like somber about, I'm like, if he's in Florida, relax and just like talk about it like that. No, so I don't know. But Steven, Wagner was a long-term reporter. Like he did all kinds of UFO stuff, but he really liked saving real Santa Claus sightings.
Okay.
So that's kind of in the paranormal field. One thing he saved a lot of. So a lot of these first ones are going to be from him, and then I pulled them from some other places, including some UFO organizations and stuff like that, saying like, is that the sleigh?
Right, yeah. Okay.
So all kinds of stuff. But how did your parents do with Santa?
What do you mean?
Like, so
how did they portray him, or how did we?
Yeah, like, did you do anything special with Santa or for Santa?
I mean, we did the typical, you leave out the milk and the cookies.
Yeah.
We did that stuff.
Did you ever do reindeer feed?
Nope.
So we always
What's that?
did. So we started the tradition again for me and my kids and my family this year, where my mom would always, on Christmas Eve, we would bake goods for our direct neighbors. So me and Emily are doing that this year again with the kids.
Okay.
Just make little tins with Buckeyes, no bakes, chocolate chip, everything homemade, and you give it to the neighbors on Christmas Eve. Especially because we had a couple neighbors that didn't have any family and anything like that. You know, I've talked about that one lady a couple times on the show. But we would always walk across the field and give her thing, and she came out and got him every time. She just wait for us to leave. She just had a fear of kids, like irrational fear of kids.
Yeah. Well, maybe she had an encounter with the black-eyed children.
I do not blame her if she did. So we're doing that this year. But during that, we would make stuff like reindeer feed.
Okay.
So it would be
like puppy chow?
No. It was for the reindeer, Santa's reindeer.
Right. I know, but
so it was like, it was pretty much horse feed, but we would home make it.
Okay.
So like a little bit of molasses and oats and wheat and that kind of stuff.
Who would eat it though?
You'd sprinkle it in the yard for the reindeer.
Oh.
So when they would
okay.
land, they had when Santa was inside dropping off presents,
They had something to
they had
snack
something
on.
to snack on and enjoy too. It was always gone next morning.
Well, yeah, because
They ate every bit of it.
they're hungry.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work.
I remember
flying
being
around the
little
world
and yelling at the chickens to keep them away from it.
because you thought that the reindeer were actually.
They're there.
I mean, they were. The reindeer did come get it,
But no, it just like we'd be like, stop! It's not for you.
right, yeah, greedy chickens. What do you need to eat all the time?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's kind of the point of having chickens
They do eat a lot.
is to feed them constantly so they make stuff for you.
So, yeah. So you guys didn't do the reindeer feed.
Nope, never
So we
even
did
heard
that.
of it.
I'm trying to think of some other. Did you guys ever do real trees?
Oh yeah, actually, I take that back. I think we did. When we were very young, but we had one of the not pop-up trees, the assemble trees.
Yeah.
That we had. My mom still uses it to this day, and this was 30 years ago. Well, I mean, I think we were real little. We had a real tree one time, and that was enough.
We always did.
Yeah.
But so our old house had a room that was 14 and a half feet tall.
Oh, okay.
And it was massive. It was like, and it was the split house. So it was like half of like this ballroom dining room thing.
Okay.
It was half of it though,
okay.
because of how we split the house and drug it over.
Yeah.
So it was like 14 or 14 and a half foot tall. So I remember every year progressively, the tree would get a little bigger. Because Dad liked, I don't know, I don't ever remember it was Dad or Mom really pushing to fill the space.
Yeah, he wanted to fill the space.
Because the first year I think we got it was like an 8 or 9 foot tree, and it just felt so small.
Yeah, because the room's so big.
Because the room's so big.
Yeah.
And we had, I mean, keep in mind, I had 3 biological siblings and 2 adopted siblings.
Right.
There's 6 of us in total. So everybody had ornaments. That was like a Christmas Eve gift. You always got an ornament. You always got pajamas. Still to this day, it's what you do. It's just
a thing.
And so you wear the pajamas on Christmas.
Right.
So, but every year we got an ornament. So 6 kids over the years.
Filled that tree up pretty fast.
It was full. We
Yeah.
actually never put every decoration on it. And the year I think Dad got like, maybe it was a 15-foot room. I think we got a 16-foot tree.
Didn't fit.
Because it was the biggest and it was so cheap. Because
Nobody wanted it.
Nobody can. Nobody.
And no one can move it.
It was like for like a hotel lobby.
Yeah.
You know, it was like 4 people that had a big enough space.
Yeah.
No, we moved. We put it on top of the minivan.
Just go. Ratchet strap it down. Let's
The
go.
same kind of minivan we got in the front yard now.
You get 2 of your brothers lay on it when they're driving down the road to hold it down.
No, it was twine.
It's what?
It was twine.
Twine down?
Yeah.
That's strong.
It made it from Kaleidoscope Farms to, which if you're in Hardin County, Allen County,
Northwest Ohio area.
yeah, Kaleidoscope Farms is a really good one.
There
I'll
you
talk
go.
about in a minute. But yeah, we'd always go. It was a tradition to go get a live tree until the very end. Like when we moved here as a family, we did a couple years with it and we kind of stopped just because everybody was starting to get older and like I was going off to college and there wasn't the whole going out and getting it.
Yeah.
So I do want to start doing a live tree again. I don't know how I exactly feel about cutting down a live tree for that purpose, but I kind of like it and I kind of don't. My thought,
What, because the tree?
like killing a tree just for that.
Yeah, well.
So I thought about you can buy like a 4-foot-tall spruce in a root ball,
Okay.
and then just taking it out to Mom and Dad's and planting it after.
After the fact. That's not a bad idea.
So first off, I won't drop needles.
yeah.
That's why Emily was always like, I don't want to clean up the needles. Don't
Right.
think it.
Like, it will, but nowhere near as.
Oh, I mean, it's going to drop a couple, you
Right.
know, but not like
No,
after.
no, it's so bad.
Yeah.
I think I was at my friend's house when we were kids, and that's when I had my first real run-in with a real tree that like was was dying because I think it was like the day after Christmas we were at his house. And man, and then you bump into that tree and all the needles just start falling off like in chunks. It felt like, but everywhere, the whole floor, it's just everywhere covered. And like, if you didn't stay on top of it, it was everywhere. I didn't like them. Wasn't a fan.
Real trees?
Yeah. Just for that experience alone, like, whoa, like this sucks.
It really depends on what tree you get to.
Probably, yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I think firs drop their needles really, really bad.
Like a Douglas fir?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is like 3 or 4. There's 3 or 4 really popular species for Christmas.
Mm.
We always got the short needled one. I can't remember which one that is now, but
I have no idea.
yeah. So, and we always go to Kaleidoscope Farms and pick out a tree because you could go cut your own tree or They would cut it for you, and they'd let all the kids like take a little axe and swing at the base of it, so every kid could go through it and like.
Nice.
And then the guy would come out and finish it for you, and you'd be like, "Well, just go up." And they had like reindeer. You could pet. Like they were really friendly reindeer that were in like stables up there. They had a really cool nativity with a camel. I just remember that was the only live animal there, like in that nativity.
Was a camel?
They had a camel.
They had a real one?
Yeah, she's still there.
Oh, geez. I didn't know that.
It's just down the road.
I know where it is. I've never been there.
It's really cool. It's and then they got like a hot chocolate like cabin.
Nice.
You go in and you get hot chocolate or cider.
Yeah.
It's a really cool.
Good
as far as like a
experience.
family thing. It's a really cool thing.
I'm pro it. It sounds
so we
good.
always did that. And they got like a gift shop and an ornament shop, and like you can meet one of the Santas there and that kind of stuff. Like
Nice.
they have a little Santa's village.
Maybe they hired me as their elf.
There you go. Then we started doing something with Emily's family. The mill, Charles Mill.
The
Is that
lake
what it is?
monster?
No, maybe I'm getting it mixed up.
Yeah. That's
You talk for a second. I'll look it up. We'll get to Santa sightings.
in the middle of Ohio, Charles Mill Lake.
This is our Christmas episode.
Yeah, it's Christmas. We talk about whatever we want on Christmas. The only thing we ever did when it came to Santa or stuff like that
Clifton.
was Clifton. That's close.
Charles Mill is a lake monster.
That's right.
Or-
yeah. Your lines are getting crossed. Your wires. But we just left out the cookies and milk mostly, just for when it come to that stuff. They didn't do no powdered sugar footprints or nothing like that. But it was always a big thing. They kept the Santa thing alive for us for a long time. Like we had to go to bed. I'd sneak out in the middle of the night and peek down to see if Santa showed up yet, and he never did until I passed out in the morning. And then sure enough, he showed up every time. I believed it as a kid.
It's real.
It sure is, yeah. Still believe it, I guess. Still a kid.
It's very different now as I've grown up. Like, mom and dad were always like, well, Santa's magic, so it's not physical. You're not going to catch him.
I didn't have that excuse explained to me.
No, so it's
the idea or theory.
Because we're always like, well, how's it going to fit? We had like a little tiny chimney.
Right. Then you see the Santa Claus movie and you're like, oh, it makes sense.
But no, I don't remember. I do remember that, but not as a kid. But no. So I think some of these stories may shed some light onto some of the truer nature of Santa.
Okay.
Because like I said, I fully believe in Santa. Santa is real. Santa is seen every year. NORAD tracks it. Remember we talked about that last year for Christmas.
Yep. That's right. That's totally real.
The NORAD?
Yeah.
It is a real place.
I know. Tracking Santa. It's real.
It's all real. All right. So by far, the most complete collection of Santa Claus sightings is by Stephen Wagner.
Okay.
Like I said, he spent years and years and years, decades
compiling
of his life.
these.
Yeah, he's
accounts.
a paranormal researcher and writer. So it just every once in a while he'd get a Santa one, he'd put it in a special folder, and then he'd do like around Christmas a big collage of them.
Okay.
So a lot of these come from his collages of, some of them were taken in the 60s and 70s, some of them were in the 2000s, So they're from all over. So these reports run from wondrous to a little creepy, and just because of some of the nature of Santa Claus and Christmas,
I'm sure.
if you don't realize what you're looking at, it could be very scary.
Oh, okay.
So we're going to talk about Carrie Kay, who claimed in 1961 she went to bed on Christmas Eve and awoke by her bedroom door slowly creaking open to allow a little nightlight in from the hall to illuminate a quite bizarre sight indeed. She says this happened next. I was so astonished, however, at who had opened my bedroom door. I found myself looking at a man dressed in a red suit. He had white trim around the waist like fur and a long white beard. He was wearing a Santa Claus hat. He had red pants and black boots. If I had closed my eyes, I can still see Santa standing in my doorway. It made such an impression on me. He stood there and looked at me for a few seconds, then closed the door. I pulled the blankets over my head for a while. I was very scared. Finally, I looked out and no one was there. The next day, I asked my mom, if she or my father had been out of bed the previous night. My mom said no. In fact, my sister was only 4 months old. My mom said she had slept through the night for the first time, so they had got actual sleep.
Mm.
And neither of my parents had gotten up. They were tired and they both slept through the night. So I didn't know who or what looked in my bedroom door that night. I told my mother I saw Santa. She got really mad at me, told me I did not. But I know what I saw. It was Santa Claus. I swear this story did happen. I know I wasn't dreaming.
Well, I mean, a couple things could have happened. One, she really saw Santa. I guess 3 things.
So there's a common theme with these. Like, a lot of these door peeping sightings.
Could be a burglar or some intruder, someone to cause harm, and under the guise of Santa or the safety net of being Santa on Christmas Eve, authorities might be driving around. Oh, there's a guy breaking. Oh, it's Santa. Probably just dad pulling an old prank, or not prank.
I think her parents would have known if somebody was in the house the previous night.
Not if they slept through like a rock through the night.
But I mean, stuff would have been stolen. The door would have been broken open.
Well, maybe. I mean, maybe a lot of worse things could have happened, but good thing she saw him.
One does come up later where they're like, "Was that a burglar?"
I mean, think about it though. I almost guarantee it happens every year.
Oh, I think it
burglaries
does.
Where people are dressed up just cause you might not question it.
I think she's seen Santa.
Or she saw Santa.
Because I think when we get later on in the episode, we got a bunch of these sightings. But later on, I'm going to talk about what I really think Santa is.
Okay.
And that may make a little more sense with some of these stories.
Mm.
Okay, another one. I one of Sarah A., who said her sighting happened when at a very young age, but she stayed with her to her adulthood and is clear to this day. On one evening, Sarah was sleeping on the floor, and her aunt had been visiting and taken her bed. Remember that as a kid?
What's that?
And your family came over and you had to sleep on the floor and give up your bed for somebody?
Oh, yeah. Still do it.
Because of this, she was unable to really get a deep sleep. And around 2:30 a.m., she noticed a faint glow coming from a crack underneath the door. She got up and wandered to the door, opened it, and looked out in the hallway, and this is what she saw. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
So she hears something in the hallway. She sees a glow from underneath the door. Looks and goes over to look at it and see what it is. When I fully opened my eyes, I could see it was Santa. It was standing in my door, with this almost mystical, magical glow around him. It was silver and gold and glittery. Santa looked right at me, and without moving his mouth, he said, "Now, you know you're supposed to be asleep while I'm here, don't you?" I told him I knew I was supposed to be asleep, but how could I? He told me, "Well, close your eyes and at least pretend for me." I was shocked. I knew this could be a dream, but I also knew I was awake. People have told me maybe it was my father, and maybe it was. How he had gotten into the hallway and had a glow with glitter was well beyond me. But as far as I'm concerned, it was 100% the spirit of Christmas, the spirit of Santa Claus.
Oh, wow.
It was a beautiful golden glow. And the man in the big red suit had told me it couldn't possibly be my father. Or sorry, I felt it couldn't possibly be my father. It was glittery like a parade float. But the pieces were not falling to the ground, almost floating around him. I am 41 years old now. I still believe in Santa. I still believe I saw him. So it's very similar to the first story.
Yeah.
But a little bit more like this glow around it.
I keep thinking of, you ever seen The Sandlot?
A long time ago.
When Babe Ruth's in the closet and he comes out as like a spirit, but he talks to him. That's the vibes I'm getting. Hey, kid, you're supposed to be asleep. But legends are, wait.
And maybe I didn't read it as good, but as she talks later, that it was a very, joking way he was talking.
Right, yeah.
It wasn't like a creepy, you're supposed to be asleep.
Yeah.
No, it was like, don't you know you're supposed to be asleep when I'm here?
Oh, that's what he said. Heroes are remembered, but legends never die.
So, yeah, there you go. There's another one.
Yeah, well.
What'd you think of that one?
I don't think it's dad, but the glowing stuff. That'd be quite an elaborate ruse to go through, knowing she's probably asleep the whole time.
That would be a lot.
Yeah, really set that one up. Hopefully she wakes up and witnesses this.
Stomping.
Right, yeah. That would have really been unfortunate if she just never woke up. But I don't know, I mean... strange.
Like I said, as I do with most of these episodes, I have ideas of what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And I do think some of these stories will I think you'll agree with me at the end.
I'm starting to formulate an idea myself. I don't want to jump ahead.
There's also reports of witnesses who one Christmas Eve, when he was 8, he woke up in the middle of the night, mostly out of sheer excitement because of the coming joyous day. I remember being a little kid. It would be like 4 a.m. Be like,
you jacked up.
Mom and Dad would be like, "Well, wake us up in the morning," And it'd be like 4 a.m. and we'd be like,
It's morning.
It's morning.
Yeah, it's the next day.
And Dad would be like, the sun. When you see the sun in the window, you can come get us.
Oh, fair enough. And you did not go back to sleep.
No, we just sat and played the GameCube.
Yep.
We were not allowed, but we just sat and played the GameCube.
It's Christmas. You're allowed.
It's Christmas. There's a dinosaur meme with that.
What?
I don't know. It's ancient now, but somebody drew like a velociraptor in a hat. And first one, it's Christmas, and then it just zooms into the face with a little tongue out. It's Christmas,
And that's it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It just made me laugh. Okay, so joyous coming day. That's when he heard something in the hall, which sounded like quiet, hushed footsteps, as if somebody was trying to stealthily creep down the hallway.
Mm.
The witness says he got up, cracked open the door, peeked out, and saw something very strange indeed. Burglar. Slowly, a man in boots, carrying a large sack into my room, my parents' room, and my brother's rooms. I'm absolutely 100% positive I was awake. So he was watching this guy work.
Yeah. Robbing his house actively.
I could see him fairly well because of the nightlight from across the hallway in the other bedrooms. I remember hiding my entire face under the covers when the small portion of my eyes I could see. That's when he walked away quietly. He was gone. Of course, I told my parents and my brother in the morning the sighting, and of course, they thought I was crazy. To this day, I'm 29 now. I asked my parents if they had anything to do with this still. And to this day, they still deny it and say I must have been dreaming. I strongly believe I saw the spirit of some kind of entity of Santa.
A trickster.
But and I, like I said, that's the abridged version. But he watched him go in and out of the bedrooms, leaving stuff.
Oh, he left stuff in the rooms.
Yeah, little presents.
Okay.
So, and everybody just thought, obviously, all the kids thought it was mom and dad.
Right.
Dad, mom thought dad had done it, and dad had thought mom had done it.
So they actually all found things?
Little things, yes.
It's Grandpa. They always leave Grandpa out of the equation.
I guess it matters who your grandpa is.
Absolutely does.
Maybe your grandpa is Santa.
He could be.
All right. Ready for another one?
Yeah.
Some more. So actually, I think we'll take our ad break a little early. So we just keep rocking and rolling.
Yeah, let's do it. You know why? Because it's Christmas.
So this should be our last Christmas ad break. We did 3 of them, and I think you've heard all 3 of them by this point. Well, now you're about to be. All right, here we go.
Ho, 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 Merry Christmas. It's me, Santa.
Bah humbug, and it's me, the Krampus.
Oh, Krampus, what's got up your crawl today?
Your list is getting shorter and mine's getting longer. All these people out here today are just horrible, and I'm the one that's got to go around punishing them.
Well, it's Christmas season. I think you need to be cheered up a little bit. I've got the perfect thing for you.
What is that?
Flavors of the Forest, Bigfoot breath.
Sounds like big commercialism to me.
It's 100% freeze-dried garlic and a pinch of pink Himalayan salt, and that's it.
Huh, that almost sounds good to me, and I hate everything.
It's perfect for you and all of your friends and all of your loved ones. It makes the perfect stocking stuffer.
Where can you get this stuff?
You can find it on flavorsforest.com/corn.
Well, I guess all I got to say to that is Merry Christmas.
Ho, 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 ho.
How do you do with the moment of silence?
What do you mean? What silence? There's no silence here.
So there's a couple people that have said they've seen Santa multiple times in their life.
Okay.
They've been lucky enough, and I think it's very similar like Bigfoot when it comes to that. I think you can see Santa. I think it's like a once in a lifetime thing. But like Bigfoot, I think when you see a Bigfoot, it's most of the time, unless you're like out there,
actively.
Yeah, it's a once in a lifetime thing.
Right. Yeah.
But still, people can get lucky.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Like getting struck by lightning.
Yeah. Now this is a name right here. Claxton Kalmbach.
Claxton Kalmbach.
I would not know how to pronounce Kalmbach if I didn't know about the feed that is spelled the exact same way.
Oh, okay.
There's a chicken feed that's Kalmbach.
Oh, okay.
But Claxton.
Claxton's a good, powerful name.
It's a conqueror's name.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe.
Claxton the Devourer.
Either powerful or just like, like Cletus from Simpsons.
Oh, there you go.
That I could see a Claxton falling into that one too.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Could be.
So the witness says the first sighting happened in 2002, followed by additional ones in 2004 and 2007. He explains this of his weird experiences. It was Christmas Eve in 2002 in New York City. My parents had invited relatives and friends over for a dinner, sort of a Christmas Eve celebration. After that, I decided to go to my room and watch some television. But there was nothing to watch or good to watch, so I found myself pacing back and forth in the hallway. The house is big, so there was no one with me. Everyone was in the living room watching a movie I wasn't interested in. About 7 minutes into my pacing, I saw a tall, fat figure scurry away about 20 feet from me. Listen, it crouched down too. It was even wearing some sort of Santa Claus suit. I didn't believe in Santa at the time, but it just freaked me out. The strange man was in my house. I quickly ran to where my parents were and told them all about it. They grinned at me and jokingly said, maybe it is Santa Claus. I didn't believe them, so I sat down in the living room with my family and everybody else. So then, once again, on Christmas Eve 2004, I remember more vividly than the last one. I was laying in the couch in the living room. My parents were in the kitchen having a conversation about business blogs or something like that. Suddenly, I saw a huge man, 7 or 8 feet tall, crawl underneath the tree and vanish. Before it disappeared, it looked at me and said, shh. Very strange. So I went to the kitchen and sat with my parents and didn't say anything. Similar occurrence happened in the following Christmases. I recall one in 2007. It was the daylight this time, and I just happened to see another tall figure in a Santa hat trudge by me for about 2 seconds, and it was gone. This really happened to me. When this first started happening, I did not believe in Santa. I am now a true believer.
That's interesting.
So this hulking figure of Santa, which, Santa often is reported at like 7, 8, 9 foot tall.
I believe it.
So a lot of people, like even like some of the England police reports of Santa, like seeing Santa on Christmas Eve, like cops,
Okay.
or I guess bobbies,
Like UK, England?
yeah,
Okay.
would talk about like almost like a Bigfoot sized Santa,
Okay.
and it was like they'd see a man like disappear in an alley that was 8 foot tall. I don't know if they were chasing him that hard though. Can you imagine looking like, is that Santa? Is he yoked?
Right, yeah. Well, would you have burned the house down if...
Not if it's dressed as Santa.
So, oh boy, you just opened the door.
No, but he felt, like he said, he slowly felt scared, and he goes on to talk about it more. So where he feels like it was important for him because his family wasn't like enjoying Christmas and all this stuff. Like it was very business oriented.
Oh, okay.
And he said that he felt like it was for him to kind of get some magic back in his life.
Right, yeah. Well, that's pretty magical.
Yeah, and it was always just for him, and it was always quick, and it was just like...
You see an interdimensional being disappear under your tree, and right before he goes, looks at you and goes, shh.
There's a lot of that.
Yeah, it's like, that just doesn't sound good, in my opinion.
I think it's fine.
Oh, yeah, sure. Name any other interdimensional, any other being that would do that, and you'd be, this is fine.
Easter Bunny, which maybe we'll do that for Easter this year.
Oh, it's even worse. A giant talking rabbit looking at you.
We've seen the Easter Bunny.
Huh?
We've seen the Easter Bunny.
We did, or?
When we were kids.
Okay.
It was really weird because everybody was in the house. I'm still to this day not sure if my dad had paid somebody to come up to the house. But no, remember, like our driveway was long. It was when we lived in the trailer though.
Okay.
And we all seen it run past the window. And I thought it was like a dog, but our trailer was really high.
Yeah.
It was weird.
Huh.
I'm still, and I don't think Dad's ever told us if it. I don't think he's.
I'll get it out of him.
I think he's denied it.
I'll get it out.
All right, Anna. We're gonna get to her encounter when she was 5 years old. On this evening, she crept down the stairs, hearing something moving down around there, and to her surprise, she was met with the sight of Santa Claus standing in her living room, complete with black, red, and white outfit and a snow white beard. She says this of her experience. He must have felt my presence because he turned around and looked at me. He didn't look jolly or the kind of happy you'd expect Santa to be. He kind of looked eerie, like he was staring into my soul.
Hmm.
Automatically, I ran into my parents' room and hid under the covers. I don't know why I was so scared at the time, but I wrote it off as a dream before I forgot it, before I completely forgot about it. Years later, I remembered it. I thought it could have been a burglar, so I asked my parents. So my parents said nothing was missing from the apartment, and they had noticed nothing strange that morning. The only time that we were robbed was much later, and we moved after that.
Mm.
There you go.
Well, yeah, I say anything that's big and stares into your soul can be quite frightening.
Well, yeah, and she's 5, right?
Right, exactly.
And there's also this thing where you're not supposed to see Santa.
Yeah.
So even all peaceful and all good, that just like the little kid fear of like,
Uh-oh.
or a couple of the other kids were saying,
Yeah.
similar things like, you're not supposed to be doing this.
It's like the Ice King staring at you. Is that what his
Ice
name?
King?
From Game of Thrones?
Oh, I don't know. I thought you meant Adventure Time.
Oh, no. No, not him. No. I think it was the I don't know. It was the guy from Beyond the Wall, but he has like the piercing blue eyes and he stares at you and it scares the crap out of you.
I know who you're talking about.
Frightening.
All right. Next is Bristol, England,
Okay.
2000. This happened in 2000 in my old house in Bristol, England. I was with my mum and dad and my sister, because they spell it M-U-M.
Mm.
It was about midnight on Christmas Eve, and I was the only one awake because I was really, really excited. I could hear big footsteps in the living room. I was quite scared, but I could hear bells tingling above me as well.
Mm.
So I wanted to go see what was going on. I walked down the stairs very slowly, and I could see a big man putting presents around the living room. I wanted to say something, but I was too scared because I thought he would be upset with me. I ran back upstairs and forced myself to go back to sleep. I was convinced then that I saw Santa, and I'm still convinced to this day.
Hmm. I think he was having one of those fever dreams.
His name's Alex.
Alex.
I think you've seen Santa. I don't know
think-
why you're being so negative this episode. This is for kids. Keep mine.
Well, I'm just
You're
wondering.
being very negative.
Am I?
Yes.
I think that response was negative towards my reactions. I didn't enjoy that.
Sound like a politician.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know when.
Nothing bad happens to these stories.
Yeah.
I'm the one that put them all together. I know.
Okay. Good.
Only good happens. Some kids do get scared, but I'm going to fall back on what I said. Is it that little kid fear of just being like, oh, like I'm not supposed to see Santa?
Well, yeah. You grow up. You got to go to bed. Santa will not come if you're awake, and you won't get no presents. So yeah, if you wake up and he happens to actively be doing it, you just spoiled everything.
But I think you're supposed to see him too, in a way. Because I do think that a big part of Santa is keeping
Belief, faith.
a good, like, the magic as in not as in magical properties, but magic as in wonderment
Right.
alive. And I think that this is one of the few things that maybe is left in society that can inspire kids to be like, well, the world's bigger than we say it is.
Okay. I can see that.
And I think that's why some of these experiences happen. I think it's on purpose.
Hmm.
Once again, comparing Bigfoot to Santa a lot, is that a lot of times when you see a Bigfoot, it's on purpose.
Right. They want you to see, but what's Santa's motive? Like,
We'll talk about that because I have many ideas.
okay.
We have some more sightings, though. More sightings. 1969. I had this experience when I was 3 years old. And was young enough to wear footy pajamas. The year was 1969, Christmas Eve. I wanted to see Santa had brought me. So I quietly walked down the hallway and looked around the corner to our living room. I saw my parents and someone I didn't know hanging around the Christmas tree. The stranger was an older guy with a white beard and hair and a big red suit. I quickly went back to my room so fast that I could, with my footy pajamas, and slid into bed. I just imagine this little kid just sliding around in footy pajamas, being like, oh.
Oops.
I told my mom what happened many years later, and she insisted I must have been dreaming, or that it had to be my dad. That wasn't possible because my dad was sitting in the chair beside the stranger.
Mm.
And my mom was standing right next to my dad. I'm African American, and during that time, the tenants in our building were all African American. So Santa really stood out. It was from Jerome.
Because he was a white guy, basically.
Yeah, he was a big white guy. And he goes on to talk about, they were very, 1969, all black community.
Okay.
Late on Christmas Eve. It would be very, very odd.
We just went to the moon. Allegedly.
It'd be very, very odd for a big white guy to be in a very, very black neighborhood at the time.
Okay.
Midnight.
Right. I get it. Dressed up as Santa in your home, in your living room.
And I've heard similar stories with people seeing their parents with them and their parents not remembering. So I don't know. It gives me some, like I said, I got a lot of ideas.
Yeah, me too.
About what Santa could be.
Interesting. I was going to make maybe he saw mommy kissing Santa Claus joke, but
Dad was there.
Dad was there, so probably not.
All right, ready for another?
Oh, yeah.
1973, on Christmas Eve, and this is, written a while, about 35 years ago, when I was in my teens. I was in the car with my parents returning home one very late night. We were talking about the whole way that Santa Claus and how great it would be if we actually seen him. We had pulled into the driveway of our house. And we had pulled in the driveway of our house. There he was, tiptoeing in the snow in between houses across the street. We all had a laugh, and we saw this and remembered the incident for many Christmas, therefore. PSA, no robberies were reported. So I cut out some stuff of this story for reasons.
Okay.
You couldn't tell because I forgot to censor some stuff. They were a whole car ride home talking about, like, they wanted some magic. Like, they wanted something, like, it was 1973, but they really just wanted to see something magical and how cool it would be to see Santa.
And then they did.
Yeah. And then they were seeing him, and he was right across the street. It was like 2 a.m., and they're looking, and there's Santa creeping in between houses. And they did alert the police, and there was no robberies or anything reported, no footprints, nothing.
That is strange. Was it a Christmas decoration, like Home Alone style?
1973? Did they have full-size animatronics that you could buy at Home Depot in 73?
No, at Lowe's they did, though. At Sears.
Lowe's is the worst.
Maybe it was Lazarus. I think they were upstairs in Lazarus, right beside the restaurant.
Got yelled at many times.
No one knows what that store is.
No. It had three escalators.
Yeah, it did.
And the top was a restaurant. And if you rode the escalator too many times, they'd yell at you.
Yes, they would.
And then we just yell back. Bright Lights, 2003. I'm 13 years old. When I saw something, I was 7. It was dark nighttime around midnight on Christmas Eve. I was in my bed, but I wasn't in sleep. Who could be? All of a sudden, I saw a red light beaming down onto my window. It was so bright, and yet somehow I knew it was him. I looked up in the sky, but all I could see was this bright light coming from a very small object. I didn't hear a helicopter or anything like that, but I did hear a unique sound of bells. And of course, the sound of hoofs tapping on the roof. These sounds lasted for only a few seconds, then the light disappeared. Everything was gone.
I'm getting vibes from that one. Not good.
I think they're fine. I think you're just too conspiratorial minded.
I don't know. A lot of these sound like something else going on.
I don't think so. I think you're just being too frightened because of your own bad experiences in life.
Maybe, but just a lot of these sound like...
Not every entity is bad, and you need to get over that.
Well, I think otherworldly beings maybe aren't the best either.
San Antonio. I was 7 years old. I was looking out my second-story window, just waiting to see him. And I saw something approaching in the distance. It was a huge sleigh, and it was flying right over my house. I don't remember seeing any reindeer, but I did see a man dressed in red with a beard. I was so startled, but I kept looking, even sticking my head and half my body outside the window. I ran and told my family, but I knew they wouldn't believe me. I swear on my life to this day, I saw him. I don't know if it was really Santa Claus, but that is the best way I could describe him.
He saw what he wanted to see.
And you picking up that theme?
Yeah. Sure am.
Scotland, 1978. An old friend came to see me a couple weeks ago. We had lost touch years ago, but we had managed to trace me and brought me a Christmas card. After a few minutes, I asked him if he remembered Christmas Eve about 30 years ago when we were outside our house. We had grown up next to each other. It must have been around 7:30 p.m. on a clear night when suddenly we heard bell or bells in the distance getting close really fast. As we both looked up, there was a reindeer, a sleigh, and Santa flying very fast and low over our houses. It was brief, but we both ran to tell our families. Of course, everyone laughed, but I tell you it was real. So when my friend turned up, I had to ask him if he remembered any of it. And of course he did, but he didn't like telling people about it now.
Denial mode.
I mean, it's a hard one to just sit and you tell somebody.
When everyone's just going to make fun of you.
Mhm.
They're all going to laugh at you.
2006, rooftops. 3 Christmas, and keep in mind, these are written in various stages. 3 Christmases ago, when I was home with my aunts, we were having a party. I was crying because one of my cousins told me that Santa wasn't real. Then we came around the corner of my street, and there it was, a big red sleigh and reindeer sitting on our roof. And Santa popped out of the chimney. I told everyone the next morning to see if they could remember, but they couldn't. But a couple of days go by, and my dad went up to the roof to fix a leak. And right along were straight lines going across the roof. My dad had come down and said it looked like somebody had ran across the roof.
Ooh. Because it was dad.
Oh, with a sleigh?
Well, we had Christmas decorations.
Now you imagine that cousin. I just imagine a snotty cousin just trying to ruin a kid's Christmas and then coming around the corner and being like,
Yeah, dad fixed it.
oh, no, I mean, Santa's right there.
Oh, yeah.
Like, not real, huh?
Yeah, explain that.
Right there. Yeah. Airport parking lot. A few days ago, I was working in the airport parking lot in my booth collecting parking fees. On Christmas Eve, a car pulled up to the window. The passenger was a very happy, chubby, white bearded guy wearing red pants, red suspenders, white turtleneck, covered in red and green Christmas caricatures.
Brian.
He sure looked like Santa to me. The rest of the evening, I told all of my customers Santa just flew into town. I had to put that one in there.
Oh, that was it?
Yeah.
It probably was Brian.
It could have been.
You know, he, out of all the
I think
Santas...
that was Chicago. I think that was O'Hare.
I wouldn't doubt it. Out of all the people that I know that play as Santa, I don't know very many, but
Well, explain what... I mean...
Brian is of Wolf Rock Radio, Brian. Is that
So
what you're
there's a
saying?
lot of people that go out and help Santa.
Oh, yes.
So you're
Dress up
kind of
as
skipping
Santa.
over a lot of stuff.
Okay, yes. A lot of Santa
Well, helpers.
reenactors, I guess.
I think they go by helpers.
Okay, they're helpers.
That they go out and help Santa, with all the kids and
Right.
meeting everybody and everything like that.
And get their, their list
But they have to be
requests.
certified.
Right.
They get certified by Santa himself. I've seen the certificate.
Oh, wow. Well, Brian's one of the few I've seen that just looks... He just really actually looks like Santa.
The mood, too.
That's what I'm saying. Like, yes, all of it.
He's Santa.
He is, yes.
All right. Next one. We're eating donuts while we're doing this. This is a Christmas episode.
Christmas. A Christmas donut, they say.
Australia. This happened long ago when I was 10 years old. Our home was in the suburbs. I swear this was on Christmas Eve. I was sleeping in my room when I heard my back door open, then close. And a minute later, it opened and closed again. And then it did this another 3 times each, about a minute apart. I thought it must have been my parents bringing in our presents from the garage or something like that. Although I don't recall seeing them go past my bedroom room. My bedroom, like the door.
Right.
I was hiding under the covers at this time. Another Christmas Eve, I tried to sneak down into the living room and catch Santa. But I chickened out and left. As I was walking into my bedroom, I passed our front door and a light came on from the outside. And I thought I could see a shadow of somebody outside. Of course, now I think about it, it could have just been a passerby or a cat or something like that. But to me, it did look like a guy in a Santa hat.
Wouldn't that be fun? Here's a good trick for parents at home that want to keep their kids, in bed on Christmas Eve. You get a cardboard cutout, put it right outside the window, front door, so you just see the silhouette, and then a motion sensor light thing. So if they come down the stairs or wherever they cross in front of that door, it lights up outside the silhouette of a Santa-shaped individual. Now, if I was a kid and I seen that outside, I'm going right back to bed immediately because he's about to come in the door, about to get busted.
It's right now.
Yeah.
I have just a few more, and we'll start talking about what I think Santa is or what we think Santa is. Memphis, Tennessee, 1980 and 2009. I grew up in the suburbs of Memphis, Tennessee. It was 1980s. I was 8 or 9 years old. My parents and I were coming home from a Christmas party on Christmas Eve. When we pulled up in the driveway, we saw Santa Claus in the sleigh hovering above our house. All we could hear were the sleigh bells. The sleigh was illuminated so we could see Santa full outfit in the sleigh. I remember seeing reindeer, but I don't know how many there were. Santa waved at us before he flew off in the sleigh.
Whoa.
I never forget it, and I never forget my dad's face was total shock. He just was murmuring to himself. He was an air traffic controller man, and when he went back to work in the holidays, he asked about it, and they did a formal investigation, and nothing came up. His dad was pretty convinced it was like a helicopter. It had to be a helicopter or something like that.
You'd hear that.
Huh?
You'd hear that.
Well, yeah, he just was convinced it had to be some kind of aircraft.
Shoot, and now looking back, it's these drones.
This is 1980.
Been around a lot longer than we think, huh?
Another bizarre twist, and I was on Black Friday 2009. I was waiting in line at the local Target store and broke out into conversation with another lady in line. We were talking about Christmas shopping, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, she mentioned that her brother had seen Santa Claus in a sleigh the same year. I stood with my mouth open because I couldn't believe it.
So wait, okay, here's a question. All these sightings, is it throughout the year? Or is it always...
No. It was almost always on Christmas Eve.
Okay.
I could only find one that was like Christmas week. But that one, it was on Black Friday. He was waiting in line with the lady, and she had said her brother had seen Santa in a sleigh on Christmas Eve years before.
Oh, okay. Not like in the middle of the summer this year. Like
No. That it was the same year, like same Christmas Eve that he had seen Santa in the sleigh.
I wonder if people have these experiences, we just don't recount them because it's not associated with Christmas. But what if they see, what if he's not wearing the suit and stuff and he's wearing his vacation clothes and they have one of these encounters?
I don't know if Santa takes a vacation.
What do you mean?
We'll talk about it.
He only works on Christmas. It's in the movies.
Christmas Eve.
Well, yeah, you know what I meant. Christmas season. So, in the summertime,
an hour for time zone.
He's down in the Bahamas, sipping on pina coladas.
My grandma always had little shirts of that.
See, that's just what I'm talking about. Those were real references. It's all real.
So 100% believe in Santa. I believe most of these encounters, just the way they were, like I said, I'll turn some of them down because they would go into just be like, I fully believe, nobody believes me, it's driving me nuts. Which we talk about, UFO, Bigfoot, all these people, all these different paranormal entities that people experience have the same, it drives them nuts if nobody believes you.
Right, yeah.
And I think the Santa Claus one is even worse as far as people trying to get somebody to believe them.
Okay.
And some of these people, I cut out so much. They were so desperate for somebody just to take them a little bit seriously. Because it was driving some of them nuts. And the Reddit, I didn't pull any from Reddit, but man, hundreds and hundreds of thousands. Reddit, there would be people that were tracking sightings and making maps for each year. How many Santa sightings?
What parallel were they on?
All of them.
Oh, okay.
Even Antarctica and the base, they're like, is that a sleigh flying by? Wrong cold place.
Right. The underwater? They're in that little, what are you talking about, that little dome under the water, the glass.
Dome?
Yeah,
that would be such a scare. You got to crawl a mile through this tunnel.
Yeah.
As a fat man, that just sounds horrible. And then you're just in the
ocean under ice, yeah, and a sleigh with reindeer goes flying by. It'd be like that game, Subnautica.
Yeah, I love Subnautica.
That game scares the crap out of me.
You have
used to.
What is that? Trypophobia?
What is fear of the water? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
It's more or less giant sea creatures come out of nowhere and just
that's
eat
a part of it. That's a part of the unknown of the water.
Oh, yeah. I guess I do have that because, man, even when I was a little kid, we used to go to Myrtle Beach every other summer as our family vacation. And I hated the ocean because I just didn't like getting pounded by the ocean and not being the best swimmer as a little kid. So I was afraid of it, and I'd only go into about waist height. That was it. Not going any deeper until my dad's like, all right, I'm breaking this habit. Just picks me up and starts.
Chucks you?
Oh, he just starts walking out into the ocean and just keeps walking and just keeps walking. Basically, till it's just his head above the water, and he's holding me above the water, and then he tosses me. So I had to swim back and get over it, and I did. Not as scared anymore, but it worked.
So we had the exact opposite with the ocean.
Okay.
The first time we ever went that I can remember, Luke got stung all over by jellyfish.
Oh.
And we were right back in the ocean after. And he had big red, just marks all over him.
But he went back in?
Oh, yeah. We were just crazy. And then we caught a needlefish, a hound needlefish, which is like a gar on steroids.
Yeah.
And the locals you can't catch those. They're just teeth and bone. And we caught one and we drug it in. So we were at a really, really fancy hotel. that our family could not afford at the time, but dad had got like a special rate one night.
And you brought this fish in there?
Because they wouldn't come down, and we wanted to show dad that we caught like a 5.5 foot long fish.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't come down, so me and Luke carried it through. You had to go through the lobby of the hotel to get into the elevator to go up. We carried it all the way to the room, and the guy walked with us like, "What are you doing?" We're like, "We want to show our dad this fish." He's like, "You can't bring that fish in the hotel." We're like, "We're doing it," and we brought it up, and he followed us. And like, they can't bring fish into the hotel, and we're carrying this fish that's longer than us.
Yeah.
And then we also said we were going to catch a shark, and all these people were like, "There's no sharks here. You're not going to catch a shark." 2 minutes after that, we started pulling in little hammerhead sharks and everything. Like, there's sharks?
Yeah.
It's the ocean.
Right. Yeah. Of course there's sharks.
Yeah. No, okay.
It's the ocean. Yeah. Basically, it's the ocean.
There's
Yes.
sharks in every part
That's
of it.
where they live. There's no sharks in here.
Dave were like, "No, this is a fancy beach. There's no sharks."
What
What do you mean?
Sharks know that. They know they stay away.
could see
They
the-
pay them.
They could see the rented umbrella chairs.
Right. Yeah. Oh, this ain't for our territory.
All right. What is Santa? I have a lot of ideas. And remember, we're doing this for the kids.
You're right.
So,
Stray away from the dark ideas.
but no, I think some of those ideas you had may be kind of right. But I think there can be two sides of every coin for the type of thing they are.
Okay.
And just the natures are different.
Okay.
So, the first one I had is Santa an elemental.
Kind of sounds like it.
And
Or elemental. Is that lump in with Fae?
I was going to lump in Tulpa phase later.
Okay. Okay. Then we'll do Tulpa. Okay.
So elemental / Tulpa, as in an elemental is taking in the idea of Santa
And
being Santa for these kids.
right. Yeah. Presenting itself.
Yeah.
Yes.
And these kids really, really want to see Santa. So some of these may be that it is Santa. It is this elemental version of Santa, and it is presenting itself. It is having fun. It may not, I don't think it's a bad thing at all. I think it's a good thing.
Mhm.
Just trying to show some kids some like majesty of the crazier parts of the world.
Right. Yeah.
Or it could be even a more direct, like Santa is tied to an elemental part of the human psyche. To where we talk about nature elementals. There may be things that just crop up. Like, have you ever seen, what's it called? The Guardians?
The Guardians?
Yeah.
Is it a movie?
Yeah, but it's like all of the holiday characters. Santa, Easter Bunny, like these guys.
I don't think so.
They manifest from human consciousness.
Okay.
And that is, I think that may be a chance of what's happening here. That
So-
they were all core real people. And I saved that idea for later.
Okay.
That represented an aspect of humanity and that were maybe endowed with powers.
Oh my goodness. I never thought in my life in the past 30 whatever years that I'd be having this deep thought conversation about what is Santa.
So the movie Klaus, my new favorite Christmas movie,
Okay.
is up there with Elf for me. Like, Elf's a classic, but I think Klaus probably does the best job of this.
I've still never seen either.
Have you ever seen Elf?
Nope.
You
And
make fun of me for not seeing movies?
And I'm at the point, everyone has that reaction too. So now I just don't want to see it.
It's just fun because it's
It's
like classic Will Ferrell, and it's a good Christmas movie.
That's just one of the ones that slipped through the cracks. I don't know.
So, Klaus does this to where I'm going to ruin, if you don't want any spoilers for the movie Klaus, tune off, because this is actually, I'm kind of skipping ahead. This is my big idea, what I think Santa Claus is.
Okay.
So, because Christmas existed before Santa.
Okay.
Klaus was this guy that was this big hulking woodsman, wore the red, like a little bit of red, but he was a woodsman. He was this monster of a man, big white beard. Everybody in his village was scared of him because he just looked like an axe murderer.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm going to synopsis a little bit. Basically, he and his wife were waiting they wanted to have a bunch of kids. They never did. So the whole time he was waiting, he just kept making toys for his future kids. And his wife died young, so he never had kids. So he just had this massive storage
Warehouse
of toys.
Yeah.
And he lived alone. So when an opportunity presents itself, like the other guy's trying to self-serve, he needs to mail letters. So the kids are writing letters to Klaus
Okay.
to ask for toys.
Okay.
and he's like, "I'll deliver the toys for you." So he needs to get letters to meet a quota. So he's trying to use Klaus, and the town hates each other. It's like this big feud of a town.
Okay.
So Klaus is like, they start delivering the toys together. So they have a sleigh with a reindeer that pulls it, and it's actually the male guy that's like going through the chimney because he's tiny. But they see Klaus outside.
Gotcha.
So Klaus is like 8 foot tall. And they're like, "How did he get the presents in here?"
Right, yeah.
And it was actually the little thin male guy that he was throwing through the chimney.
His minion.
Because they tied. So all this stuff, and they bring the town together, and they stop the feud. And they do this for years and years and years after this first big year.
Okay.
They get tons of people start helping him and all this stuff with the toys. And then he starts like a gift from an Inuit tribe, or I think they were Inuit, is the Santa costume. Like when we know the day roughly was it's like an Inuit tradition. Like it's a certain thing. So they had given it to him because they had shown them kindness.
Huh.
So what happens is Klaus gets...
Is that a real thing, or is that just in the movie?
No, that is real.
Okay.
Yeah, but it roughly kind of looks like a Santa Claus. Santa Claus
but
costume.
that was an Inuit thing?
Yes.
Like, oh, okay, I didn't know that.
So as it goes and goes and goes, Klaus's wife the whole time is like a wind elemental, where she doesn't really show up, but the wind will kind of push Klaus into making the good decisions, like to turn him towards the male guy. So when he was like, first he was like, no.
Oh, and the wind blew and pushed him back.
Yeah, it was showing like, it was making a snow circle behind the male guy, being like, "Hey, this is..." Is
she kind of represent that, or?
Yeah, she was kind of leading him to be like, go do something.
She was influencing him, from beyond.
So when he dies at the end, like I said, a lot of spoilers for this movie. It's his wife's calling him back, and they had expanded it to all these villages, and they were delivering presents to like all these things. And he had passed away, but he more like Astro Oogway got like taken up into the sky or whatever.
He ascended.
But he became the elemental of Christmas.
Okay.
So he started
the spirit of giving.
The more people they got behind this idea, the more he would start showing up in everybody's village. And he would sit with the postman every Christmas and take a break with the milk and cookies and talk to him. But that's kind of what I think may have happened, is that, and I think it happens with other things, that the power or the majesty, or however you want to do it, Santa Claus may have been a flesh and blood person
at one point,
like Klaus.
Yeah.
And had become an elemental through the sheer will and act of like
human consciousness.
Klaus in the movie, and once again, it's a movie, but Klaus always said that one good deed always sparks another. And just having a person, there's not many of them left anymore, that is just that much goodwill.
Yeah.
So I kind of, and the Guardians do a similar thing to where all of the characters were people like that.
Mm-hmm.
And through deeds and acts, they were either like they were gifted that ability to personify those emotions.
Gotcha.
So I kind of wonder if there was a guy, I don't know, in 1500s, 1300s, something like that.
Saint Nick.
And I don't know, the Saint Nick connection's kind of weird.
I don't know, yeah.
But where he had done enough that he was, I don't know, recognized or given this gift to keep spreading the gift.
Okay, the gift that keeps on giving.
So I kind of wonder, and that's kind of what I believe now, is that Santa, the one that people see, the one that we deal with, was a guy at one point, I don't know, 2,000 years, I don't know, and had gifted, because we talked about that. I mean, there's stories in the Bible, there's stories in all these other religions of people being gifted these gifts, essentially these powers for good deeds.
Right, yeah.
And that's what I think.
I mean, I don't think it's anything wrong with that.
So why does he show up? Why does he show up for these kids that really want to see him, or these adults sometimes? There's several adults in this stories. Why is it? And I think it's that reason we kind of already talked about, to where the whole point is to share gifts, but not physical. It doesn't have to be physical gifts necessarily. I think it's to keep the majesty of the world alive. That when you, like, kids that really want to see him, or the kids that just got told Santa's not real, and then immediately, well, there he is. Like, what are you talking about?
Right, yeah.
I think that Santa is more metaphysical, more elemental, and that, like, I think he's tied to humanity. I think at this point that it is something that like when you're really desperate or you need it, not that you want it,
Right. Yes.
that you need it. There's a big difference, and that you'll see Santa, and that it just kind of helps spark like the one kid that his parents kind of were just business about Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And when he kept seeing the Santa figure show up, he was like, he really believes it was for him. And to start believing, and once he started getting the Christmas spirit back and teaching his kid, like, stop seeing it, never seen it again.
Right. Yeah. Because it's there. It lives within him now.
So I don't know what you think about all that.
I think you got some points there, some valid points. I still think some of the accounts and stuff are probably burglars, but
not any of these ones I had
okay,
here.
maybe not. Yeah.
Just because stuff wasn't
maybe not these ones.
taken.
Yeah,
I feel like
in particular
you would know.
Yeah, I
right?
guess so. Well,
Like,
the one
next morning.
the one that looked in the first one, looked in the little kid's room and then just like slowly crept back out and closed the door.
But he left presents everywhere.
No, that was a different one. That was the shadowy
okay.
one. The kid was looking out of his room. The one where was like under his covers and seen the door in the face, and then it just closes. And I think it might have on the way out. I don't know. That's a weird one, but no, I think you're onto something here.
So I don't know if it's elemental or tulpa or even fae. I mean,
Right, because fae kind of has that same quality too. That's what I was thinking about when we were talking to these.
with some of the Santa lore, like the original starting of Santa was a human that was taken in by elves, a type of fae, and raised by elves.
Oh,
and like
a hybrid.
Well, no, we did with Joel. That if you go into the fae realm,
right,
and you kind of get the magic rubs off on you.
Yeah.
So there's always that option too. It's kind of a similar, a little bit different thing.
What if Santa was a hybrid with human beings and elf beings?
Could be.
To mend the gap between the interdimensional realms.
I don't think it has to be. I think it could be like,
Oh.
even the story could be right.
Oh, okay.
To where it was just a kid that they found abandoned.
Well, you know how you're not supposed to gift things to Bigfoot, paranormal things? Maybe they're doing the opposite to us. They're gifting us to trick us.
There you go.
Into inviting them in more and more. This other realm.
Why are you trying to make this
I'm just trying to keep my on my toes.
Santa Claus?
Yeah, no, it's not that. You got to throw things out there to know what it's not.
There you go.
That's what's going on.
But no, I mean, that is one of the origin stories of Santa as like a magical entity.
No, I mean, yeah.
What is that, like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer? Like, what is that art style of movie called?
Claymation?
So do you remember?
Stop motion?
You remember stop motion claymation, whatever one it is, the Santa one?
Vaguely.
Because that was the whole thing about that he was taken by elves and they became immortal because they were spending time with the elves because the elves were immortal.
Oh, the reindeer.
No, Santa and his wife.
Oh, okay.
They were people. They were just people.
Just normal people. And
yeah, because he was an abandoned baby that one of the elves had found.
Where'd the wife come from? Where'd Mrs. Claus?
That he had like gone out in the world and when he had come of age
yes.
and had met her.
Met her, okay. Like Peter Pan meeting Wendy.
Yeah. Abduction.
I abducted her. No.
Peter Pan was a weird movie.
Very, yes. Yeah.
And yeah, because I think the elves before that were like shoe cobblers. At least in that movie, in that story.
Yeah.
Which is talked about a lot in a lot of fae lore.
Yeah, elves made things.
Yeah, 100%. They were great. They could do a cobbler's year's work in one night.
Right, yeah. So it made sense.
So then when he wanted to start like doing stuff for the village, it was toys. And I'm like, toys? Well, we've never made toys. Yeah. And then he did it, like, oh, I guess we can.
Yeah.
We just make things.
There's some great memes and stuff about elves and their toys.
So that's kind of the elemental tulpa fae. Like the kind of melting of an idea.
Mm-hmm.
But I really do think Santa maybe is like a flesh and blood person that had either
or was or is.
Yeah, I don't think he is anymore. I think it's more metaphysical now.
Right.
Or yes, he leaves stuff behind. He can touch stuff, but he's not fit into our laws of physics.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he can operate outside those.
Mm-hmm.
I think the only reason kids see him or adults see him is because they are supposed to.
Wanted to.
Like, I think that they needed to.
Right, yeah.
That there was whatever reason, whatever they're going through. And there's plenty of adults I found in this that were just like, I'm sure I just seen Santa. You know, I'm just sure of it. But there's other things. Like, I've seen people say interdimensional and extraterrestrial for Santa.
I was thinking interdimensional.
But the Fae are kind of...
Same thing, yeah. It's I would say they're interdimensional.
In a way, I think their dimensions... I think it's tied to ours.
For sure.
Maybe not in the same way of like when we talk about like the Men in Black. It's from a whole different
It's probably
plane.
tied to ours in a different way, like in another sort. But I could see him being an interdimensional thing, and that's kind of what I was thinking. Like, and tied in with human consciousness. I think we can, kind of manifest things here on Earth. I think a lot of the stuff is a reflection of our thoughts. So, if enough people just think and believe, I think whatever this other dimension is, or dimensions, whatever, they're all tied to us, so they're all always listening and involved some one way or another. So to make themselves present in the moment when you're wanting to see something, I think it's very possible. And I think the kids in general
are powerful.
Have a much more powerful, because their brain's not locked into like this physical reality as much as we are.
I agree.
Where everything has to be this way. It has to fit within this box, because that's what we were taught in school, and that's what they spent 12 years of our lives molding our brain into thinking that way, because we're much more controllable. So when kids can do it outside the box without having those boundaries set, it makes it a much more, I guess, frequent thing to happen. That could happen, but you just got to think and believe. That's where it all starts.
I have one last one.
Yeah.
And then we'll go over what we really think.
Okay.
And I just seen this somewhere, and it made me smile, so I had to put it in here.
All right, share.
A hollow Earth inhabitant.
Aha. That's where Santa's lair is. It's not the North Pole.
No, because it's one of the openings is right by
true.
Right by where he is. So he's actually flying out.
What if he's the gatekeeper?
He's got super technology.
Makes sense.
And that's how he can deliver presents across the planet.
Makes sense.
And that's because there was in I think the 50s somebody like a plane like shooting at a sleigh that they said.
A plane shooting at a sleigh?
Yeah.
Like fired a missile at it?
Yeah.
Oh, what happened?
Because they made a movie. That's in one of the Christmas movies.
Santa got attacked?
Yeah, by the U.S. government.
That doesn't shock me.
Didn't hit him, don't worry.
Well, obviously. We're not that advanced as we say we are.
But no, that's just one thing somebody said, that this is just a good guy from the Hollow Earth that was just like, I'm going to go deliver presents.
Right, yeah.
And has the technology just to do it.
Do it, yeah.
And why you use reindeer? Because reindeer fall into the hole all the time. Flip to the other side.
Much easier.
They live up there.
Yeah, it's easier transition for them.
And mammoths are hard to fly.
Maybe what's true. But things in the Hollow Earth might have those levitating qualities.
There you go. So if you had to pick one, what are you going with?
Hollow Earth Santa.
Okay, what are you really going with?
I just think that one it's foolproof. It's bulletproof. You can't dispute it.
I think Klaus is right, the movie. I think why I love it so much, because I really think that's kind of what happened.
Soft disclosure.
It could be. It really could be. And it's not like the first movie to really like do that side of it.
Right. Yeah.
I think the way they did it is probably the best to look at what the thought is.
Mm-hmm. I always thought the Santa Claus did a good job at that, making Santa believable.
Which one is that?
With Tim Allen.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Where he finds...
I like those ones.
Yeah, I thought they were good.
They were good movies until Jack Frost got involved.
I can't quite remember.
That was like movie 3 or 4.
Okay, that makes sense. Because I only remember 1 and 2, and I liked them both. But like, Santa lands on his roof.
Santa is...
he's a real person, but it's just like his job.
It's a mantle.
Huh?
It's a mantle that's passed down.
Yeah. And
where it does extend your lifespan, but not indefinitely.
Right. Oh, he's still mortal, as seen when he dies. He falls off he gets starved.
With powers.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. But he's still vulnerable.
Yeah.
To death. So when he falls off the roof and passes away, and Tim Allen finds him, and he inherits that job.
Call that passing away, because he just kind of melted.
Well, maybe that's what happens when you're
like a salamander.
It's exactly what happened. He dissolved in the snow.
I'm going. I really think it's the Klaus thing. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of with you on that.
He's metaphysical, and he was a flesh and blood person. He's real now, but he was at the beginning a guy or part of a group of guys like the Klaus. Like it started off as him and the male guy, and then slowly it became like the whole village would go out, and then they would get these Inuits that they would get involved to like help spread all this stuff out.
Yeah,
and it just kept sparking like kindness.
See, okay. One good deed leads to another.
That's what he always said, because his wife always said it to him. So that's like the moral of that movie, is it just kept, you do it, and You don't you just do it.
I think it's an interdimensional being, but it's created and manifested by human beings and human consciousness. And I think this also is where a lot of the cave paintings came from. Just cave paintings in general, like, where they see all the animals, them killing mammoths and stuff. The cave paintings, prehistoric cave paintings. So, back in the day, when there was extinction level events happening, the world was on fire and people had to live underground just to survive. Well, everything on the surface was dead. They had to fill it back up. And the animals just appear out of nowhere? Kind of. Human consciousness creates them. So what they did is they sat around and started creating these stories, created these cave paintings, how we're going to hunt them, all that. They're going to live over here. These animals are going to live over here. We got deer here. We got mammoths there. So they create all this stuff in their mind. Then finally, when they reemerged into the surface, they were already there. They existed. That's why there's all these jumps in fossil records, because we don't know when things went away or came to. We just knew what we knew from the past. So we're trying to draw upon that with these pictures and stuff and just recreates the world each time there's an extinction event. And that's where Santa lives, right there in the human mind, nestled in the canyons of your mind.
Every time you took a breath in that, it was so deep.
Well, I had a lot of thoughts.
I know.
That's where Santa lives. That's where everything in the world comes from. It's us. Your mind's powerful. Use it positively. Think positively.
I'm going. He was a guy, and he became, I guess, an elemental in a way of, instead of like the nature elementals, a human elemental, I guess, like a construct,
right?
Personification,
an archetype,
personification of a good deed,
a feeling, of an emotion.
Yeah. All right. Well, Merry Christmas, guys.
Merry Christmas.
Get ready to enjoy your family. Spend time with your family. Enjoy the holidays. Check in on your neighbors. Share some joy. Remember the reason for the season. We love you. God loves you. We know this can be a hard time for a lot of people. I think it's like the last couple weeks of December into January is like the hardest time for some mental illness and stuff like that. Because it's all, if you don't have family and stuff like that, it can be really hard.
And it's cold and gray out. It's just all the factors add up.
Cabin fever.
Yep.
So just check in on people. If you got a neighbor, just check in on people. Do something nice if you can. Bake some cookies for your neighbors or anything. All right. I have been the great and powerful mystery.
And I've been JClone67.
We'll catch you next week, guys.
Bye.
Hey guys, thank you for listening to Cryptids the Corn podcast. Remember, the best way to support the show is share it with a friend. But if you are craving more of the J clones
and more from Mr. E,
there's always extra content on Patreon
and our paid member space on cryptidsofthecorn.com.
We'll catch you next time with more exciting, fun, and informative information. Bye.